I've been looking forward to this one. I want to see if the internet voters will pair Nancy with Dave Gregory. I'm fairly confident they will. So let's start with Dave Gregory. Dave can date Mary, or. Mary's the only female character besides Nancy in the phone contacts. Okay, then, that should make shipping kind of easy. Mary and Nancy are the only real choices. Mary's not a real choice, it's Nancy. Dave clearly likes Nancy and has a crush on her. He talks about how the heart never does play by the rules, and then he asks her if she's got a boyfriend back home. It's pretty obvious he wants to date Nancy, but Nancy's oblivious and doesn't pick up on it. He gets embarrassed and changes the subject after this, but it's too late, Dave! You've already won the hearts of fangirls with your cute cowboy ways. So, Dave with Nancy all the way, no other options. I don't think Dave interacts with Mary Yazzie ever. He warns Nancy that Mary doesn't like the Raleighs, it's just a feeling he gets whenever he talks to her. So he's talked to Mary before, she was vaguely angry, and that was the extent of their conversation. So I'm not feeling any romance brewing for Mary and Dave. Tex Britain. Tex is secretly dating Mary Yazzie in the game. It's a surprise relationship because they don't seem like a good couple. Tex doesn't seem like the dating type. He doesn't seem like the type to have emotions at all, actually. But she says he broke through her cold exterior, and now he blushes whenever she stops by. I'm mildly interested in learning how Tex and Mary became a couple in the first place. I'm not so interested in seeing them together as a couple. How would that even work? He's an ornery jerk most of the time. He hates everyone, including his sister. I can't picture him getting lovey-dovey with anyone. So I'm gonna go with Tex and Mary because that's what they have in the game. But if the game didn't have them together, I would pick Tex and no one. Shorty Thurman. I can see Shorty dating pretty much anyone because he's a nice, friendly fellow. He's got a good personality and presumably would be a great catch for anyone. Like Shorty flirting with Dave, I could see that happening. Shorty getting close to Nancy, it could work. Shorty with Mary, though, Tex would probably get mad and beat Shorty up. So, probably Shorty with Nancy since they get along better and spend the most time together. After all, Shorty complains, "Oh, the others don't like to talk to me." But Nancy's only in town for 3 days, so long term he would be better off with Dave. Now there is the problem that Shorty forces other people to do his chores all the time. That would probably cause tension in a relationship. I wouldn't want to date someone who made me do their job every day. I could picture Shorty and Dave arguing with each other over who has to do the chores, whether or not they're dating. That's probably a daily argument at Shadow Ranch. Shorty's personality is different at the end of the game when he's revealed to be the culprit. It's a surprise to see how devious he is. He works with bank robbers, and they go through all the trouble of creating a phantom horse to throw suspicion off his sabotage. But he's also too lazy to solve the mystery by himself, so he just follows Nancy to the treasure's location. So he works hard and he's lazy? Let me rephrase that. He's manipulative, especially when it comes to tricking other people into doing work for him. Culprit-wise, I think his best match is Emily Griffin. They both love gold, they both love forcing Nancy to do their chores while they pretend to be her best friend. They have similar personalities, they can fall in love in jail. Mary Yazzie. This has the potential to be an interesting dilemma. Should she date Dave, Tex, or Shorty? I'm pretty sure most people will go with Tex because she does date him in the game, but I'd argue that Dave would also be an amazing boyfriend. Could you imagine that drama? Sorry, Tex, I'm breaking up with you to date your younger, hotter co-worker. Tex would be furious. A non-evil Shorty would also be an option, but I think Mary would be better off with Dave or Tex. As for Nancy with Mary, Mary doesn't seem to like Nancy at all. I get the sense she's only being nice to Nancy because it's her job. When Nancy's not around, Mary probably makes fun of her to Tex. I'm not going to argue with the actual game. If Mary Tex is good enough for the developers, it's good enough for me. Nancy Drew. This is another one where I think there's an obvious answer. Nancy should clearly date Dave. He is the best romantic option for her. She just needs to realize he's got a crush on her, and their love will bloom. Or she'll feel awkward about liking a guy when she already has a boyfriend. I know she goes on a dance date with Dave in the book, but that didn't count as cheating on Ned because Nancy and Ned weren't a couple yet. As for the others, I think I already mentioned them. I don't think Mary likes her. I don't think Shorty likes her. He's just using her to get his chores done. I think Nancy and Tex's personalities clash too much for them to be friends, much less date each other. Oh, and the phone contacts. Well, the Raleighs are married, so that's a simple decision. I'm going to say they should date each other. Dirk Valentine and Frances Humber, they're also a good couple, so that only leaves really two other characters. Charlena Purcell. Ooh, that's a tough one. She doesn't display much personality in this game, besides for knowing historical facts and wanting information from you about Shadow Ranch. I think a history buff would be the best match for her. Joanna Riggs is closer to Charlena in terms of personality. They're both so focused on work, it's hard to imagine them doing something else. This is why it's hard to picture Charlena dating anyone. But Henrik is closer to Charlena in terms of age and the calm temperament, so I'm going with Henrik. What would happen if Charlena visited Shadow Ranch? I don't think she'd fall in love with the cowboys. I think she would probably ignore the cowboys. No romance at all. Sheriff Fernandez is friends with all the cowboys and he's friendly with Nancy. Just like Charlena, we don't really talk to him enough to get a sense of what he's really like. He's just a generic friendly guy who could probably be attached to anyone. Part of me wants to ship him with Alejandro Del Rio since they have the same voice, but Nancy is the only one he interacts with, so let's say Nancy. So in conclusion, Dave Gregory with Nancy, Tex Britain with Mary, Shorty Thurman with Emily Griffin, Mary Yazzie with Tex, Nancy Drew with Dave, Charlena Purcell with Hendrik Vanderheun, Bet Raleigh with Ed Raleigh, Sheriff Fernandez with Nancy, Dirk Valentine with Frances Humber. So those are my ships for the game. As I promised, I did 2 polls per character when polling the internet this time. Tex Britain had a pretty even spread with the first poll, but in the second poll, it's not even close. Mary Yazzie wins with over 50 more votes than Shorty got in the first poll. One person said they want to date Tex. Good luck with that. Nancy Drew is clearly with Dave and then other, who I assume is Dave. Likewise, Dave Gregory should date Nancy and then other, who's probably Nancy. There was 1 vote for Bess. Sheriff Fernandez should date Charlena Purcell and other. Mary was the second place option. Charlena Purcell should date Sheriff Fernandez, so the phone contacts date each other. I don't know how the Raleighs and Tex tied for second place as Charlena's love option. Oh, crud, I forgot to do polls for the Raleighs. Well, since they were in last place for all the polls except Charlena Purcell, I'm just going to assume that they should stick with their marriage and date each other. Shorty Thurman should date Sheriff Fernandez and other. The sheriff dating the culprit? That'd be a lot like Dirk Valentine dating the sheriff's daughter, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's kind of poetic, actually. Charlena and Tex tied for second place as Shorty's partner. Mary Yazzie with Tex Britain and other, who I assume is Tex because she dominated his polls. Out of curiosity, I did a poll for Bess and George because they're both at Shadow Ranch during the ending scene. Which hot cowboys do they get to date? Bess gets to date Dave. George also gets to date Dave, although a fair amount of people like George with Tex and other. So people want Dave to date Nancy, Bess, and George. Wow, Dave. Wow.